Good morning, folks. I just did Awakening Israel. That's done, that's uploaded, and we're going to just talk a little bit and give psychology away some more. I think this will be number 147 if I got my numbers down right. I have to look it up. This is St. Patrick's Day, in which everybody gets drunk out of their minds and acts foolishly. I've done a lot of foolish things on St. Patrick's Day before. My alma mater had the the bad reputation of consuming more alcohol per capita per student than any other college, university in the nation. We also had the highest number of undergraduate requirements. The Jesuits required us to take a lot of courses, more courses than other universities. I really appreciate the broad scope of that education and what it gave me. I wish I had paid more attention. I wish I had studied a bit harder. Wish I had not partied so much back then, for sure. To you youngsters today that are going to be partying, I say you're going to probably wish you had studied a little bit harder. That's one of those regrets you'll have later on, that you wish you had disciplined yourself more and pushed yourself more and made more of yourself. Another thing you're going to find in your future is that you're probably going to wish, once your parents are gone, that you had treated them with more respect, more love and respect. And when there is no respect, there can be no love for a man. A woman is to be cherished. Those marital vows mean something. They're there for a reason, and I know a lot of you women think, well, I'm not going to honor, respect, obey, my husband. I don't have to do that. Oh, heavens no. He's got to follow my wants and my needs. He's got to cater to me. I'm the queen. Princess complex. It's too bad that females do not understand the importance of the team, being a team player, building a strong family. They devalue themselves, they demean themselves. And what they don't realize is that if they really put all of their efforts into that family of theirs and their children, they're going to have the greatest wealth. They're going to have a very rich life when they're older. They're going to have companionship. They're going to have somebody taking care of them. And I really admire the Indians, by the way. And I'm not talking American Indians. I'm talking East Indians. I admire them because the oldest son becomes responsible for the mother. She dotes upon her oldest son and, a lot of showers him, lavishes him with a lot of love. There's good reason for that. Why? Because in her old age, it's her oldest son that's going to be there for her. When she loses her husband, her son will be taking her in and taking care of her. And that's important. And that's a good structure. That's a good culture. And another thing about the Indians I admire is they have arranged marriages, which I used to think was, man, who would want an arranged marriage? Who'd want to be stuck with somebody? Well, then you realize that you're not getting just stuck with somebody. You got the whole family picking somebody out. You got your elders, even your grandparents might be chiming in on that one. So all of this wisdom, all of this advice, all these extra eyes come to bear and look over this woman and her family and probably choose better for you than you choose for yourself. And I remember talking to my friends whose mothers had arranged marriages for them, and I guess their mothers took great pride and joy in getting their sons married off properly. And they told me the stories, and it was touching, to say the least. And the other thing was that they had very strong marriages. You would think, well, they didn't start off in love. No, they grew in love. I mean, they've become a team. And that's what the United States of America had going for it. How do we have that going for us? Well, to begin with, you had both parents on the homestead. Both parents were there with the children 100% of the time. So mom had instant backing, children had constant contact and input from their fathers, constant guidance and advice. It was a team. And then, unfortunately for America, the Industrial Revolution came along, pulling the men out of the homes, and they were forced to work about 12 hours a day, and they would come home too tired to do anything. And they were alienated from their families. And that played out into the 20th century as well, because men went off and you had a single breadwinner. That concept was put forth by the people in Hollywood who know better than you do and know better than I do. They know what's best for us. That's why they put forward the family there with the 2 separate beds, right? Everything was pure. Word pregnant never could be mentioned. Look at what that media has done to us now. You need to understand that the people that run us today brainwashed us slowly over time. They've taken us over eons. They are an ugly people. They are children of Belial, children of the devil. The devil and his children own and run this place. They do it to a large extent through their secret societies. If you go to Awakening Israel, in which we go from Judges 17 through the end of Judges, chapter 21, you'll understand the stories about how secret societies started. You'll understand how they came about and why they're underground. And they still do the same nasty shit they did back then. They were driven underground for good reason. They practiced horrible things in broad daylight in public for everybody in their groves. They did horrible things with the kids. They did child sacrifice. They practiced cannibalism. They did all kinds of wickedness, unimaginable stuff. It was so unimaginable that even 5 times in the Bible, this is mentioned. This is one of the, I guess there's 3 things in which there's 5 witnessing in the Bible, 5 mentions. If something is in the Bible twice, we call it a double witness. Well, there are 3 things, and it just dawns on me today. The other day I said there were 2 things. One being you're not to take daughters of the land for wives for your sons, and you're not to give your daughters to the people of the land for wives for their sons, because they've got fallen angelic satanic DNA in them. Okay, literal. We're not talking, hypothetical. We're not talking magical mystery, anything. We're talking literal stuff. You have to take the Bible very concretely. They've not done that, and they've lied to you from the pulpits, because the evil ones run those churches and divert you into weird religions that they've created and invented for you. That's why we're so good at going to war against each other, is because we don't read the Bible. We're busy being misled by stupid asses. Just like our country being misled by stupid asses over there in the Ukraine. I did hear something that bothered me the other day. I'm just going to go with the flow of consciousness on this. I got some new information that throws me off a little bit. It threw me off just a little bit. There's a guy on the radio named Dr. Gorka. He's full of himself. He's a real rectum orifice. He is full of himself, and I wish they'd just kick him out of the country. Definitely take him off the air. He is an Israel firster. He's a Zionist, a Zionista. And what does he say? He chides the woman who's called in and runs her off the radio, very disrespectfully saying she needs to educate herself, that he wrote about this in this particular article. She needs to go read it. And that's it. It's a shame that he can't treat somebody like that with a little bit more respect, but it also shows him for what he really is. He's just a bully on the radio. You do not get syndicated coast to coast unless you're pro-Israel, the wrong Israel, the fake Israel, the Rothschilds, their Israel. Anyway, what Dr. Gorka said that I find important was that the idea that the Russians are going in there because we have biological labs built on their border doesn't hold weight as an excuse to go to war. doesn't hold weight as an excuse for Putin to invade the Ukraine. Now, I have to admit that I assembled some data and some facts and came to some conclusions. However, I have to hold those gingerly. And I tell you, I could be wrong. I might be wrong. I probably am wrong. Mr. Gorka reminds us that those biological labs were built there by the Soviet Union first. They were there 21 years ago or something like that. And of course, they've only been there since we've been in there for not even 9 years yet. So we've only taken over those labs, that's all. What the hell are we doing with weapons, biological weapons labs on the border of Russia? I don't care who started them. What I care is who's in them now and what are they doing with them. Now, it may be not the reason Mr. Putin's gone in there. That's a possibility too. It may be just part of it. But I can assure you that in this war, America, or I should say the beast that has seized hold of America, is the guilty culprit. The people that have taken over the United States of America, Americans haven't been asked if they want to be in the war of the Ukraine. They've been propagandized. They've been force-fed. We don't have any control over this government. We certainly don't have representation. This isn't our government. My God, even Putin warned us at the beginning of this whole conflict, about 2014. He says, Americans, you better keep your guns. Really? He's our enemy and he's telling us to keep our guns? Oh, is he part of the New World Order that they're going to get us to turn against each other and turn upon ourselves? That may be in our future. I just don't know. I do know this, that we're being run around by that little postage stamp of a country over there in the Middle East that calls itself Israel, that is based upon matriarchal lines. It's a matriarchy. We've got matriarchies in Alaska. You've got native clans that are built up matriarchal societies. The Haida being the proudest ones of it all. And when you see a little woman who's well under 5 feet tall, who is boisterous as can be and telling you she's going to make you your slave, it gets your attention, especially because you realize she's real serious and she's not just being perverted about it. I mean, that's what their heritage was. They enslaved the people they conquered too. So don't give me this stuff about, only white men enslaved people. The natives in Haida, the Haida Indians love to enslave people. I don't know exactly why Putin went into the Ukraine. I don't know why we went into the Ukraine first. So we started it. As far as I can tell, we started this whole thing over there. Am I supposed to just stand behind my nation, right or wrong? How many millions of people have we murdered on this planet doing that? Too many. And we let ourselves be led by the nose, being manipulated by this minority that controls your banking system, that has stolen the whole country through their Federal Reserve System, which is privately held, privately owned. I don't think they can sell the stock. I think it's just inherited. It certainly isn't on the open market. And don't complain to me about the money. The money. There is no money. They have stolen it all. Folks, you need to look at the bigger picture. And in the Bible study today, we cover what happened to the Benjaminites. And today, Benjamin is Iceland today. That's where they've located and isolated themselves off from the rest of the world, insulated themselves. It's quite a people. I'd love to be able to go over there. That's one nation I'd like to visit. Wish I could know their language. It's a rather difficult one from what I understand. And of course, it is not Iceland, it's a green country. Of course, Greenland is an ice country. Interesting how that works. But when the Earth shifts and goes through its 11,600 year, or whatever the cycle is, Greenland does become very green. Very green. Antarctica becomes very green as well. And the Sahara Desert becomes green also. The Earth was designed to recycle itself and to keep life on Earth going in perpetuality, just forever. And once in a while, the Earth's surface and its inhabitants and all these that's a new word, marvical, majestic, marvelous creations, these fantastic things that we invent, these scientific discoveries, and this electricity and all of the high tech, that all gets toasted. The Earth gets roasted. It happens every so often. And it is in our Bible. It is in there. And if we look up in the book of Revelations, I'll see if I can find that for you. Yeah, I know this isn't the Bible channel, but so what? It's my channel. We'll do what I want on this one. But in the Revelations, we're given a tip as to what happens. You see, some of this stuff is encoded in here, and some of this stuff is hard to get at and hard to understand. So this should be pretty easy for me to find. It should be like a dog-eared page, and it should have bright highlighting. And I use fluorescent highlighting on my Bible. I don't use yellow highlighting. I use the bright fluorescent. Why? Because I can still copy the page and the highlighting doesn't come through. It doesn't obscure things at all. Okay, I'm looking in the book of Revelations, and I'm looking for, and this is the proper name version of the King James Bible. This is the newest and the greatest one. Revelations. It's so much easier to understand these days than when I first started reading the Bible. It was a great mystery. The priests did their best to mystify us and to keep us in the dark on this stuff so they could control us and dominate us. You don't think so? Then go visit Europe. Look at those cathedrals. I want you to keep in mind how much money, how much manpower, what skill it took to build those magnificent buildings. They are beautiful. The problem is they're symbols of the sin of Europe. Why do I say that? How could I possibly draw that conclusion? It's very simple, you see. The Catholics have had a bunch of weird traditions, and some of those I still think are kind of weird. They may prove to be right about there being, what do they call that? Oh, I'll think of the name in a little bit. But they used to have what were called indulgences. What was an indulgence? Indulgence was something that you took out in advance. It was a license. So if you wanted to commit a sin, a major sin, you would go to see the priest, and you would tell him what you want, and he would sell you an indulgence. And you would pay in real hard money, silver or gold. You would pay your cash, real money, not paper money, and get your license to do what you wanted. So if you were a wealthy man and you had a few foibles about you and you wanted to be able to sin and sin a lot, you spent a lot of money getting the license to do that and to get it covered by the Catholic Church so you wouldn't go to hell. Or whatever that thing is that they come up with, the word that escapes me right now. Anyway, I'm not finding this right now because I haven't read this Bible, this version, and this particular copy enough. By the way, somebody wanted me to sign one of their new Bibles, and I did it, and I hadn't been able to see one of those. Now, this thing is kind of massive. This is big. It really is. I mean, look at that. I do have small hands. I should have been a surgeon, but His Bible was about half the thickness of this. It was quite a bit smaller. It was really manageable and easy to handle. I rather liked it. It really is nice. If you want a Bible to carry around, that's what you want. If you want something you can read into your old age, this is what you want. Look at the size of that print. I mean, don't tell me that you can't read that. Anyway, what I was looking for, here it is. I just looked at it and it pulls up what I was looking for. Good girl. Oh, yes. Such a good girl. Sweet puppy dog, yes. You want to come up? Come on up. I know. Come on. Up. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, you going to give me kisses, huh? Yeah, I know. She's just tasting me to get ready for the real meal when I pass away, eh? The teeth are going a little too much. Okay, off. You don't want to get off? Oh, I see the tail wagging. Off, down. Good girl. Good girl. Insatiable thirst for affection. Here we go. Revelations chapter 9. Off the mouth. Oh, you're going to slime my Bible. Come on now. Revelations chapter 9. And this is important. Verse 11. 9:11. Just so that you know. I think I got it there. I hope I'm showing it to you properly. I have 9:11 in the margin there somewhere. Where is that written? Oh, it's up here. I circled it. 9:11 on it. What else? And the light I'm using isn't adequate, but it's also in fluorescent highlight. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. The angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue, is Abaddon. Okay, that's the name of this angel of the bottomless pit, Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. Apollo. Basically, what it's letting us know that our 9/11 for the entire planet is when that sun blows up. It blows up on a regular basis. It has a periodicity to it. It is measured. It is in your geological formations. When you go, especially into the Navajo area, up in northeastern Arizona, into the mountains, you'll see the folds. You'll see the folds, beautiful folds in the mountains, layers folded up from where the earth got another big upheaval, and you still got those marvelous folds. Every one of those layers is an earth age, okay? Every one of those earth ages began and ended with this guy Apollyon raising hell on earth, and quite literally raising hell on earth. It's hell on all the inhabitants. I mentioned to a Navajo fellow last summer when I was traveling, a Navajo bus driver there. We were at the entrance to the petrified forest. Told him I thought it might be the end of an earth age, and he knew what I meant. And he said, "Oh no," I said, "I hope not. It's going to be bad for everything." Yeah. What happens at the end of an earth age is the surface gets rearranged. It gets rearranged drastically, and you end up with another layer. So each one of those layers is an earth age. If you look at those are light stones, light sandstone, limestone, light-colored layers. However, about every fifth or sixth layer is black, dark basalt rock. So it looks like every fifth or sixth earth age is accompanied or led by a whole bunch of volcanoes going off and laying down ash across the whole doggone place. This next earth age is not going to involve that, but the volcanoes are already going off. That's part of what happens. And this particular one is not going to be as bad as the last one. The last one gave us North and South America, gave us the wilderness, and it was ripped up. It was in real bad shape, and it was uninhabitable for quite a while. This next one is going to take out Europe and Africa to a very large extent. That's where the damage is going to be. So this is what, of course, the 9/11 just happens to be there. I mean, I sure didn't plan that. There were no chapters and no verse numbers in the original Bible at all. So we added those to it. But you have to understand that the bottomless pit is up there in the sky. It's our own sun. It attacks the planet. You don't believe me? Go down to South America. Go down to that city that's, 13,000 feet above sea level, 14,000 feet above sea level. It's very sharp steps and stuff. It was originally at sea level, I guess, and it's risen up over the years. And I can't remember the name of it, but you will see that they have some carvings there. And you'll see carvings of the sun in different stages. And there's like 56 rays around the sun. And that is a universal number from culture to culture around the planet. Don't know why it's 56. I think it's 56. And what we see is a progression of the sun getting angry and angrier. And finally, it starts to send out snakes of lightning. That's in the artwork down there. And these snakes look very angry, and they're headed right from the sun to the earth. As lightning falls upon high, I will use my double-edged sword. I will use my glittering sword. I will use my barak against those who hate me. So does nature imitate art, or art imitate nature at this point? So what we're facing is a global catastrophe. And it's just part of life on the earth. It's just one of those things that happens. And you and I have nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter how much horsepower and how much fuel goes through your SUV. It doesn't make that happen whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the fuel that goes in your SUV is not a fossil fuel. That's another lie dreamed up by Standard Oil and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, so that you would think that the fuel was precious, hard to get, rare, and has more value. It's plentiful. I mean, it's probably almost as plentiful as water. And the earth produces it continuously. It is an insulator. It insulates the planet. And when we go through these earth changes, through the earth age, the earth, as a result, has to make more insulation to defend itself against this onslaught of the plasma that comes from the sun, of the electrical radiation energy that the sun hits us with. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an expert on these matters. I'm just well read, that's all. I just happen to catch things right. I do follow the Spirit as much as I can. You saw I opened the Bible up. I couldn't find it, and I said something. There it was right in front of me. So you need to understand that your intentions are very important. Your intentions will line up your actions in unbelievable ways. You need to understand that you have a position on this earth, one of authority. You're actually a co-creator with Creator Father Yahweh God. Well, a lot of you have got children. You've co-created. Okay. This thing about the drone getting knocked down, well, every time you listen to somebody on the radio hyping up the fact that this is an act of war and we have to take out all of Russia's planes in retaliation for this, you need to keep in mind that those are all controlled opposition. They're all CIA operatives, basically. They're all doing their best to get this war going for several reasons. And one of those, I believe, is very diabolical. The simple one is it's for money and for profit. Okay, that's not nearly as diabolical as killing all life on the earth or killing as many people as possible before this next Earth Age transition so they won't have to deal with us later on. That's what I think is the real motivation. That's my hunch. Could be wrong. I don't know what your hunch is. Leave me some comments about it. You need to understand that America may come out of this great, but it won't be without a fight here in our own soil. And the problem is, while we're busy fighting among ourselves, we will probably be destroyed from outside. According to the seer in South Africa, that's exactly what happens. If you want to know more about that, you can read his prophecies. I think I've got that in the 2 PDFs that are on my blog, givingpsychologyaway.com. Signer von Rensburg was his name. I believe he passed away in about 1938, maybe the 40s, but it was quite a while back. And he had visions, and they interpreted his visions. Now, something can be lost in the interpretation, mind you, but his interpretations for the United States of America are pretty harsh, and we have it coming to us. You need to understand, when you turn your back on Yahweh, Creator Father, when you violate the deal that your grandparents made for you and me on Mount Sinai, then you're in trouble. Then you're in trouble. And as Yahweh says, he will use his glittering sword, his Barak, against his enemies, against those who hate him. And at this point, I would have to say that the country starting to wake up a little bit to the name of Yahweh. Not very much at all. You got everybody running around talking about his Lord and Savior, faith in Jesus Christ. That wasn't his name, folks. You need to learn his name. The easiest way to learn his name is by reading this Bible, the proper name version of the King James Bible. What does it have going for it? It's got the original name of Yahweh in particular that Ptolemy II took out of the Bible when he was producing the Greek Septuagint, approximately 275 BC. Yeah, these evil ones have been involved with the translators the whole time. And if you want to see the most evil Bible, that would be the Schofield Reference Study Bible of 1917, published in Michigan, by the way. Come out of Michigan. Schofield was a disgraced attorney. He was the Gentile front man for a group of rabbis that put together a Bible that makes you want to worship them. It lies in the footnotes. It lies on the sides. And it also tells you, if you get the right version of it, the 1965 version in the headings, it tells you about the wars that they want to make happen between Christians and Muslims. It lets you know that they're actually the evil ones. Now, it's not true for all Jews. Not at all. It's a little subset. Actually, the worst ones come out of a couple locations. We know they came out of Mount Seir, also known as Mount Edom. And we also discovered recently they come out of a suburb of ancient Babylon called Radan, the Radanites. And we also know that they come out of what was called the Ashkenazi, which came out of what today we refer to as the Ukraine area, which was Khazaria. And we also know the Bible only covers one of the fallen angels named Gadriel, from which we shortened and get the nickname Gad, from which we get the name God. So they confounded us early on with the name God. You don't know which God they're talking about. They could be talking about Baal. They could be talking about Molech. They've got Chemosh. They've got Dagon, their fish god, which that Pope represents, with that fish mitre of his that used to have eyes on the top of it, but they decided that was too obvious. So they took the eyes off it. So everything is in white now, including that star of, you want to call it the Star of David, but I'll tell you, there's only one star mentioned in the entire scriptures, Star of Remphan. Yeah, go look it up. It's in the Bible. You'll learn a lot when you read the Bible. You want to be educated? Then get yourself educated. Read the Bible. You want to be super educated? Read it in the original languages. You'll have more power and more knowledge than the rest of us. You'll be able to lord it over the rest of us if that's what you really want, if that's what's in your heart. There's a link down below. Take that link. It takes you to a page. There's a drop-down menu box. Pop that menu box out. There's 5 different formats available. This is the large print, brown leatherette, no tab version. I bought this at the full price. I think it had just been introduced and it was on sale. I later found out that this thing was produced because of me asking for it. I love it. I can read. When I first got this, my eyes were good enough to read without reading glasses. And I didn't get it long ago at all. So I started using reading glasses at age 63. So I need a stronger reading glass. These are 1 powers. They were really useful for quite a while. They were hard to find. And they were kind of pricey. But I couldn't imagine what it costs for a pair of them today. I think these things were $10 when I bought them. I bet today they're $20. There's no inflation. And you can trust everything out of Janet Yellen's mouth. By the way, they are going to crash the currency on purpose. You do have a salvation, and that is in Yahweh in the Bible. You want to know what money is? Read the Bible. Study money. Study it in the Bible. You'll come to the conclusions that money is tangible. It's not paper. You'll come to the conclusion that it has a certain purity. It's not just powdered up rocks. It's actually refined in fires. The impurities, the dross cooked off it. And you'll find out it has weight. It has mass. Those are the characteristics of money. I suggest that if you want to short circuit this bullshit out of DC in which they're ruling over us, and if you want your freedom, that you go back to coin, gold, and silver. Just go back to the original silver and gold coins that were already minted up. Grab those things up. I know a lot of it's been melted into bars and all that, but you just want the coins because everybody recognizes those. The content of silver is known, and you can take care of your daily needs on that. I went across the country one time. This is about 10 years ago. Let me think. This is 2023. About 10 years ago, I went across the country in Missouri, pulled off this one town, and I was looking for gas. Cost of gas at the time was about $4 a gallon, or 4 silver dimes. Well, I paid for it with dollars, with paper dollars. That's what I had at the time. But 4 silver dimes, that seems pretty reasonable to me. And a man's daily wages used to be a silver coin for the day. That was your day's wages. I would guess it was about an ounce coin. I'm not really sure of that. But they had a weight to it that was recognized. Lorraine, come here. I can't remember where we started and where I wanted to go on this. I just want to tell you that I don't believe anything those lying thieves in the media profess. I don't believe anything that a syndicated talk show host tells me. The only ones I like to listen to James T. Harris. The James T. Harris Men's Club. I made a joke about that because the guy was out of Tucson. And I said, well, that's in Tucson, isn't it? I was just joking, funning, having a good time. And they took it seriously. And this is supposed to be conservatives on Facebook. You know, you would think they would have a sense of humor. They would recognize that I was just joking. And I just kept saying it all day long. They banned me from the page before 5 o'clock. I was waiting until 5 o'clock. Then I was going to let people know that I was just joking. But it does sound good. The James T. Harris Men's Club. Maybe I should start that myself. Sounds like a moneymaker to me. The James T. Harris Men's Club. Bring your silver coins in. That's all we deal in. Yeah, we'll give you nickel coins. We'll give you copper coins. Doesn't change. But we'll deal mostly in silver coins, silver dimes, quarters, half dollars, dollars. I think that's a good idea. You should insist that you get paid in constitutional real currency. When I settled one of my auto accidents, I didn't like it very well when I read in there that I was agreeing that I was settling in terms of real money. Why did they have to call the money real? This is a legal document. Why did they call it real money and not just money? It's because they're pulling a bunch of bullshit frauds on us. And I don't know how aware the attorneys are of it, but they should be held responsible of it. Just like the people in Benjamin who wouldn't hand over the rapists that destroyed that concubine that night, that killed that woman. They refused to hand them over, so the tribe of Benjamin got virtually destroyed. That's what we read. And likewise, those evil ones that are ruling this country, that are hiding behind the Jews, need to come out from behind them. Because I'm afraid that we're going to see a repeat. And I don't want to see a repeat. I don't want to see that. You may say, well, why does it matter? It matters to me because I've read about all these things that the house of Judah is involved in that hasn't come to pass yet. And so I know that they're rare already. They're going to be rarer yet. I don't really want that because, we're supposed to march back to the promised land arm in arm. The house of Israel with the house of Judah. Country's not big enough anyway, but I'll tell you this, if the earth tilts and there's very few of us left, there ain't going to have to be much land there for all of us, is there? We don't know what the future brings. Keep an open mind, keep a flexible mind. And by the way, they're busy trying to get you into another war. There is a nuclear war described in the Bible in great detail. And Rex Tibosaurus has got a 3-part video he put up 10 years ago, a decade ago on this stuff. It is marvelous. I don't need to do the word study. He's done it. I didn't know Rex was such a Bible scholar, to be honest with you. I just thought he liked to shoot things at long distances. I didn't realize he took the Bible so seriously and gotten into it that far. And he does it by himself. You see, we real Christians, and that's not the word I like to call us by, we read the Bible. We believe the Bible. We read it and we know it, and we don't let anybody else read it for us and interpret it for us. Because we know that that's not how it works. You got to sit down yourself and read it yourself. If I can get this country to turn into 5% Bible readers, I can save it. Well, it won't be me. You know what I mean. If you and I can get 5% of us sitting down and reading the Bible and knowing the Bible, this country will have it made. We will lead, we will have a revolution of goodness, a return revolution, a revolve to good rule again. That's all we need to do. We don't need to have a full-blown rebellion. We do need to isolate those people. I do think I want to see Washington, D.C. walled off and turned into a giant open-air prison camp and a museum in the long run. There's too much evil in there. It's not rehabilitatable. It's like trying to rehabilitate these schools. I don't want to pay any money to these schools. Why should I pay them to destroy me? Why should I pay them, reward them to undermine the nation? You cannot coexist. No more coexistence. They preached coexistence and they got it. And look at what they're doing to us now. They certainly are the minority, and they certainly are ruling over the rest of us. All these high-tech jackasses and liberal assholes that are dictating to the rest of us, they need to be tried for their treason against the nation, and they need to pay the full price. My God, make me president, or better yet, make me the Führer. Yeah, I need a little bit more power than that presidency gives, so I can correct this in short order. What am I going to take with me? Nothing. What do I want? Well, yeah, I probably want to avail myself of another fine sports car. Yeah, okay. Maybe another rig, okay. Maybe even a house with a garage for change. Okay. Well, the fact is that I'd rather leave the country behind me intact than anything else. We're not intact. We haven't been a republic for a long time, and we sure as hell aren't a democracy. We're run by the Sinaloa cartel in Arizona. They took over the election system down there, and they've run the last few elections, and they own the governor, the current governor of Arizona. Yeah, that's their baby. She's their girl. She and her husband have been accepting bribes since 1997 that we've got the evidence for. Yeah, they had to put her in. Now they can bring in whatever they want. They own all the judges. They own law enforcement. They own it all. They can do whatever they want to us, and we can't do jack. Form up your militias. Arizona. The Arizona militia. Sounds good to me. You realize that men will come from all over the nation to be part of the Arizona militia? And what will we do? We're going to go round up the invaders. We're going to sort through the people. We're going to go defend the borders. We might even go into Mexico, a little incursion, and take out the drug cartels, cauterize that stuff. We might even take out some of their politicians that are dirty. Oh my God! Oh my God! Would we dare take out the dirty politicians in D.C.? The dirty politicians in the state of Arizona? Good Lord! It is so corrupt. I don't think we bother to run for their corporate offices. I think we form our own organic governments and ignore theirs. I'm going to close up. This is about the most I can give you today, folks. I'm afraid I'm going to get off track just a little too much, for one. Another is I got to get some of my own stuff done. The sun is up high already, and started out in the dark. And the dog is, of course, wanting attention. She's looking right at me. Yeah. Oh, yes, good girl. Okay, come on up. Come on. Yeah. She's still young, still in pretty good shape. Thinking about having some puppies, but really don't have the room for it. Now stop lapping my robe. That's not fur. No. Okay. May Yahweh bless. May Yahweh make America good again.